Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Shang. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Today, let's learn a new term together, 以刑化债, debt punishment. Corruption in a nation or even an entire society often starts with linguistic manipulation. This involves obscuring the meaning of certain expressions and introducing ambiguous terms to bewilder the general public. The CCP excels at employing these strategies. For instance, consider the straightforward notion of unemployment. Instead, it is termed as leaving the post, as if altering the language somehow changes the fundamental nature of being without a job. Similarly, poverty is depicted as awaiting affluence, and other such euphemisms introducing a multitude of unclear terms. Now a new term is emerging, and I anticipate it might eventually become an idiomatic expression akin to the proverbial officials are allowed to set fires but not the common people to light candles. What's the name of this term? It's referred to as 以刑化债, signifying the resolution of debt through punitive measures. In Chinese, the combination of these words is also very smooth. Just observe how seamlessly they come together. This new term is associated with a poignant narrative representing a lamentable story within China's private enterprise sector. The incident unfolded in Liupanshui, a city in the poor province of Guizhou. Over the past 2 decades, the local government in Guizhou has been marred by questionable practice, including the initiation of superficial projects, the pursuit of image-building endeavors, and an excessive focus on achieving political milestones. A notable instance is a poverty-stricken county in Guizhou that initiated the construction of the world's largest Shui building. This project led to the pre-allocation of the county's financial resources for the next 40 to 50 years. And as of today, the construction remains incomplete, a glaring example of a stalled and unsuccessful project. Hence, Guizhou is undeniably a region where peculiar and problematic situations seem to be prevalent. The unusual situation of 以刑化债 debt punishment unfolded in Liupanshui, Guizhou, involving a female minority entrepreneur named Ma Yijia Yi. From around 2016, she undertook 10 government construction projects in Liupanshui, primarily focusing on initiatives related to poverty alleviation and community relocation in the region. Given the scope of the comprehensive relocation, various government projects were initiated, ranging from kindergartens to nursing homes, or falling under the umbrella of government initiatives. Ms. Ma Yijia Yi undertook these 10 projects, and by 2020, most of them were completed. However, the overall scale of these projects is not precisely outlined in current media reports. The final situation is that the government owed Ms. Ma Yijia Yi 220 million Chinese yuan, approximately $31 million. Despite her efforts, the government continuously delayed payment. During this period, numerous workers sought payment from Ms. Ma Yijia Yi. To settle debts owed to laborers, she reportedly went to great lengths, including selling her house and a car. However, she still owes a substantial amount to material suppliers, construction machinery providers, and construction units. Due to the government's failure to settle accounts and pay Ms. Ma Yijia Yi, she is unable to meet her financial obligations. Consequently, she has faced persistent harassment, including verbal abuse, spitting, paint throwing, and even instances of being blocked in her office, among other forms of mistreatment. Facing various tactics employed by creditors to recover their debts, Ms. Ma Yijia Yi found herself in a challenging situation. With limited financial resources, her expectation was for the government to fulfill its overdue payments for the contracted projects. Frustrated by the government's persistent delay, she took legal action and filed a series of lawsuits against local government in an attempt to compel them to settle the outstanding amounts. During the legal proceedings, the local government continuously provided various reasons to delay payment, prolonging the case. In 2020, under increased pressure, Ms. Ma Yijia Yi was apprehended by the public security authorities at the government's behest, with the claim that she owed wages to migrant workers. Following a period of detention, she was released and her reputation was restored. In truth, Ms. Ma Yijia Yi did not owe wages to migrant workers. Her debts were with the construction teams and the material suppliers. The legal battle grew in magnitude, eventually reaching the highest court in Guizhou province. Throughout the legal process, local lawyers hesitated to take on her case. Consequently, she enlisted the help of lawyers from Beijing, several of whom appeared to be driven by a sense of justice. Observing the opacity within the local government, these lawyers adopted an approach aimed at unveiling government misconduct. Aligned with Ms. Ma Yijia Yi, they collectively confronted the local government in the legal battle to seek justice. During this process, the local government proposed a solution, offering Ms. Ma Yijia Yi a payment of 12 million yuan to settle the 220 million yuan debt. The disparity between the proposed amount and the actual debt is striking. Unsurprisingly, both Ms. Ma Yijia Yi and her legal team refused to agree to this offer. Rejecting the government's proposal, they chose to publicize the details online, shedding light on the clandestine maneuvers and the questionable practices within the government. Several prominent Chinese media outlets covered the story, garnering widespread attention from internet users. In January of this year, the Supreme Court of Guizhou province called everyone involved to a mediation session to discuss the case. Ms. Ma Yijia Yi and her 9 lawyers and their assistants attended the meeting to explore solutions for the debt issue. However, upon reaching the location, they were directly arrested by the public security authorities of Shuicheng district in Liupanshui city. The grounds for arrest were cited as provoking trouble. At the present, the 9 lawyers and their assistants are in a state of bail pending further investigation, while Ms. Ma Yijia Yi has been officially criminally detained. Some of the lawyers and their assistants have gone into hiding, and one among them has recorded a video explaining the circumstances and shedding light on the events following their arrest. This video has been shared online to provide the public with an understanding of the true situation. At present, Ms. Ma Yijia Yi is likely incarcerated, and the lawyers have dispersed due to threat. It can be said that Ms. Ma Yijia Yi currently faces injustice without an avenue for redress. Leading up to this, China Business Journal has been closely monitoring this incident and even published an interview by Ms. Ma Yijia Yi that, when read, is undeniably heart-wrenching. Ms. Ma Yijia Yi remarked, "As I put pen to paper, tears flow incessantly. There's a lingering bitterness in my heart. The legal system struggles to satisfy public sentiment. In a few days, I might face arrest, but as long as it's not a death sentence, the purpose of my remaining life is to seek justice, unless I'm pushed to the brink of death." On February 27th, the Liupanshui city government issued a notice attempting to counter the narrative. According to the announcement, the government disputed the extent of the money owed to Ms. Ma Yijia Yi. They contended that, following a thorough statistical audit, 90% of the owed amount had already been settled, leaving only 10% outstanding. Consequently, the government argued that Ms. Ma Yijia Yi's protests were unfounded and amounted to provocation. Additionally, the announcement asserted that her actions had damaged the local government's reputation, casting a negative light on the Communist Party and the country. Therefore, the government justified their arrests, as stated in the notice. Following the issuance of the notice, it failed to escape the discerning eyes of vigilant netizens. People are not fools, and when the government attempts such a reversal, it's as if they are underestimating public intelligence. Rather than branding it as provocation, the government should acknowledge it primarily as an economic dispute. Simply present the contracts, right? Making the contracts public would clarify who owes money to whom. Why not disclose the contracts? Do they believe that releasing a notice will magically erase the old sum of over 200 million? Consequently, the local government's attempt to shift the narrative has not found favor among netizens. Instead, it has given the impression that the Liupanshui city government is engaging in dubious practices and trying to manipulate the public perception. Additionally, considering a contracted project, it seems highly implausible for someone to confront the government after receiving 90% of the payment, doesn't it? It is Chinese Communist government we are talking about. Apart from issuing the notice, the government has resorted to defaming Ma Yijia Yi. At just 47 years old and appearing competent and good-looking in photos, unfounded rumors have been circulated online. Some insinuate that a young woman securing such significant projects must have special connections with officials, attempting to smear Ma Yijia Yi's character. Modern netizens are discerning, and suggesting a special relationship between Ma Yijia Yi and officials is a claim that can be investigated. If substantiated, it would constitute a separate issue. If officials are engaged in corruption and misappropriation of project funds, the appropriate step is to conduct a thorough audit. With the project now concluded, adhering to the terms outlined in the contract for the agreed-upon payment should be a straightforward and uncomplicated process, isn't it? This incident is currently gaining attention in China, and amidst it, a new term has surfaced, 以刑化债, using punishment to settle debts. The originator of this term is unknown, but I must commend the ingenuity of the person who coined it. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't seem afraid of having outstanding debt. If someone dares to demand the repayment, they might resort to arrest as a means of coercion. The CCP appears inclined to use punitive actions to erase its debts, employing its authority to suppress others, essentially a method of forceful acquisition. In this context, Ma Yijia Yi seems to be a vulnerable target. Here are my takeaways. First, the government of Liupanshui city in Guizhou province is exhibiting a highly questionable behavior. The debt owed to the private entrepreneur this time is not a direct liability of the government. Rather, it is incurred through two financing platforms operated by the government. Now, how does the government plan to evade this debt? Initially, they dissolved one of the financing platforms, erasing the organization along with its bank accounts, making it difficult to trace relevant individuals. Additionally, the other financing platform has its account completely drained, rendering it financially insolvent. Regardless of any legal actions taken, it essentially becomes an empty shell company. It's perplexing to imagine a municipal government resorting to such dubious methods to evade a debt. If a private enterprise were to adopt similar strategies, the owner would likely have faced severe consequences by now. Secondly, the local government's adoption of using punishment to settle debts reflects the current challenging situation faced by regional administrations. Before 2019, Liupanshui city witnessed a rapid growth in GDP. However, post-2019, the government's financial resources suddenly dropped by half. The reason behind this is the downturn in the real estate market, leading to a loss of revenue from land sales and causing a sudden 50% decline in fiscal income. After 2019, the debt situation collapsed, leaving insufficient funds for debt repayment, and 以刑化债 became the government's last-ditch effort. The significant reduction in local government's fiscal revenue highlights the bursting of the real estate bubble, bringing about dire consequences for regional administrations. Faced with severe financial constraints, local governments appear to have no choice but to resort to punitive tactics. Thirdly, the report from China Business Journal sheds light on a critical aspect, exposing the most authentic and significant problem associated with the local debts. According to the findings of legal investigations, the central government extended a loan of 560 million yuan to Liupanshui city with the explicit purpose of debt repayment, essentially allowing the local government to borrow fresh funds to settle existing debts. However, upon the receipt of this 560 million yuan, while using a portion to repay 200 million yuan would have been appropriate, the local government deviated from this and promptly misappropriated the entire amount, ingeniously dispersing it under various pretexts. This case thus underscores several key issues. Firstly, the escalating size of local debts leading to regions being incapable of repayment. Secondly, the sudden reduction in fiscal revenue for local governments due to economic contraction and the declining real estate values resulting in financial constraints. And thirdly, the widespread problem of misappropriation in local debts. Hence, the problem of local debts within the Chinese Communist Party is highly serious, seemingly uncontrollable, and poses a challenging dilemma without an apparent solution. The case discussed today not only illuminates the challenges faced by private entrepreneurs, but extends beyond the Liupanshui city or Guizhou province. It represents a pervasive issue affecting the entire nation of China. A crisis is on the horizon. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.